Hello everyone and welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be showing off how to set up this little private chatbot called Private GPT. It's over here on GitHub. It should be pretty easy to find, and I think we're going to go ahead and get started with this. So first, you're going to get a terminal. Currently I'm SSH'd into a local server here. It's pretty much freshly installed and there should be nothing really on there, so should be pretty easy to follow along here. We're going to start with installing some of the dependencies this requires, which will be build essentials, GCC, make, and Python. You know, you might already have Python on there, but it needs a specific version. It needs from 3.11 to 3.12. Nothing less, nothing higher. So we're going to have to install one because Ubuntu here, which is Ubuntu server, it comes with 3.12.4 by default, which this thing will not accept at all. So the command we need is sudo apt install. We'll start with build essentials. Well, not essentials, essential. Gotta make a clear distinction there. As well as GCC, make, and Python 3.11. Unfortunately, you can't install Python 3.12 base, and you'll just get 3.12.4. So we have to do 3.11. So we can just run that and type out our super secure password. Oh, I must have misspelled something. Spelling errors corrected. We are now installing these packages, which we will be needing. Alright, packages installed, and now we're going to need something a bit different. We're going to need Homebrew, which is a nice little package manager that we're going to need to use to install another tool called Poetry. I know we're going to become poets here. So we're going to hit there. This is just the home website. It has a nice little, pretty much one command install. It's not really one command, it's a bunch of stuff stringed together. So we're going to paste that into a terminal, and we're going to run it. Then we're going to press enter to continue. And we're just going to wait until this finishes installing. Alright, now that it's finished installing, you see up here, next steps. There are two commands we need to run because we need to add this to our path variable. It's kind of weird looking here, but we're going to take this, if I can select it all. We're going to copy that, paste it in, run it. There's also this other one down here, which we'll also need. Alright, sweet. So now we need to actually install Poetry. So now we can run brew install Poetry. And we'll start installing it, hopefully. Alright, now that that's installed, we can come over here. We're going to go ahead and copy the link, the git link we're going to need. And you should have git installed, but if you don't, you can of course sudo apt install it. So we're going to do a git clone, and we're going to go ahead and paste the link. And hopefully we have now gotten our folder. Yep. We can just cd into it. There's quite a bit of stuff in here. Don't need to worry too much about it. But we're going to go ahead and come over to this installation guide. Very fun. And we're going to be going for the, not that one, the local llama-cpp powered setup. That's one of the nicer ones. And we see we have some nice commands we can just simply run. Just copy it, paste it in here. Now these commands will take quite a while, so be mindful of that. Alright, now that mine's finished, you will see this message at the very end if it was successful. And if you want to know pretty much what this did, it's just installing some modules that we are using, specifically like llama-cpp, getting the UI and all that, some of the other stuff for the AI. So now we can just go ahead and run the setup script over here and paste that in and run it. This will also take quite a while since this will have to download the AI model that we're using, in this case Mistral. Alright, so now mine's finished, and as you can see there is actually an error. We get access to model Mistral and all this is restricted. You must be authenticated to access it. That's fine, we actually haven't authenticated anything yet, so that should be there. But we don't actually need that to run it. So we can go ahead and take this command, which is to run it. paste that in, press enter, and it should start up successfully. Alright, if it starts up successfully, it should look something like this. So now we're on port 8001, so pretty much we're just going to open a new tab in the browser. Since this is web-based, uses HTTP, we're going to go to the address of the server, which is 192.168.1.21, port 8001. Now just make sure this is the address of your server, because this is currently the address of mine. That wasn't a comma. And we should come into this little nice web interface. So now, by default, we started in query files, which we don't have any files in here right now, so we're going to go ahead and just switch it to the LLM. And we're just going to say hi. Now this will take a while since it's not on the beefiest machine right now, and there's no GPU really working. But there we go. Now let's see how long this answer is going to end up being. Okay, yep, that's an appropriately length response for hi. And there is some unique keywords in here which we'll look at later. Now I don't know about you guys, but I don't particularly want to put out a command every time I want to start up this service. So I think that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to make it a automated service. Now we're going to use a systemctl to do this. It's not too horrible until you actually start doing it, so that should be fine. So we're going to start in the Private GPT folder, the folder with all this stuff in it. We're going to go ahead and I'm just going to use nano. I'm going to make a script called Start.sh. Go ahead and add this in /bash. And now we're going to do some ugly stuff here. I know you're going to complain about me for doing this. But we're going to do a cd into the directory where this is installed. Like the directory where this file is stored is where this should be cding into. In my case it's /home, /tamewriter, /private-gpt. Now, there's my folder. Now this will stay static for everyone, hopefully. We're going to add the /home, /linuxbrew, /linuxbrew, /bin, /poetry, and then I'm going to do run python -m private_gpt. Now, what that's going to do is it's going to use the default install directory for poetry, which is this, and then it's going to run Python, and it's going to use the Private GPT project, which we need this to be here because it's going to try and use the current working directory for getting all the files. But when we're in a service, it's going to start us up in the root directory and as root user, which we don't want. So we're going to have to do some of those changes. And the script is pretty simple, so we can just go ahead and exit out. Yes, we're going to save it. And then we're going to go ahead and sudo chmod, add some executable, and now we can execute it. Hopefully we can go ahead and test that. Hopefully we can go ahead and go back a directory and go ahead and test the full functionality of this. So now we can do that. We should be able to start it outside of the Private GPT directory, and we can go ahead and test that. Go back to this, and it is indeed working. So we can go ahead and get out of that. You can Control C to exit this. Now we're going to write out. Now we're going to write the actual service file. So to do that, we're going to sudo nano etc /system d /system /private-gpt.service. Now you can name this file pretty much whatever you want. It's just that makes sense, but it generally should have the .service extension. So now we're going to go into here, and we're going to go ahead and write unit, give it the description. I'm just going to use mine as Private GPT. It's pretty simple. Go ahead and give it the service. Give it a type of simple and restart always. You don't technically have to do that, but you know, I think that's probably the best way to do this. I'm going to go ahead and restart seconds. Restart after every 1 second. That seems pretty normal. I'm going to do user. We're going to start it as the tame writer user because we want to use the one that has poetry installed on it. Then we're going to do ExecStart equals. Now this will change depending on where you have your Private GPT folder installed. For me, it's home, game writer, / Private GPT. We're going to go ahead and give it that script we made earlier, Start.sh. We're going to go ahead and give it install WantedBy default.target. That will mean it just starts up. We can do that. Write that out. Sudo system utl enable. They want to do Private GPT gpt.service. Then we're going to go sudo system ctl. And we're going to go ahead and start Private GPT.service. And just for sanity's sake, we're going to sudo system ctl status Private GPT.service. And it is running. Alright, so now we can verify that. Come up here. And it is in fact running. So now we have a nice, easy way to not only run it, but also it should start up every time the system reboots or when the software fails, which is very useful. Alright, and the final thing I'm going to go over here is just some of the basic settings. So if we just list out the directory, we have all our stuff, but we also have these settings files everywhere. The one we're interested in right now is the regular just settings.yaml. So we're just going to go ahead and nano settings.yaml. And now there's just quite a lot of stuff here, but we can go ahead and start with some of the simpler ones. The port, it's the port number. You can just kind of change that around. And we have a few of this like organization stuff. I kind of like to keep all this on. We have a little bit of authentication. Now this has a kind of a cryptic comment, so I bet you just read this like 5 times. That'll probably help you out a bit. And then there's quite a bit of other stuff here, and here's one of the more useful ones. So these are the initial prompts, pretty much. And you remember before we saw those weird responses when I said hi. So we're going to go ahead and change one of these just to show how this works. So we're going to remove all this, being helpful and honest and giving good instructions and all that. And we're just going to go ahead and say, you will always lie. And never tell the truth. And that should be good. We don't have to care about the query prompts because we're not using queries right now. But we're going to go ahead and leave that like that. Now if we go down, there's some more information about models and all that, some of the tokenizers. There's some stuff with RAG. And down here, llama-cpp, this would be where you change the model. You have the repository, I guess, right here, and the actual file you want from it. They use this weird gguf format, so you have to find one that uses this. And then you have some embeddings and some vectorization stuff. Most of this isn't really useful. A llama, if you're using this instead of the llama-cpp, then this would be useful to know where it is. But other than that, this is pretty much it. That's all you really should be configuring. So we're going to go ahead and come out of this. We're going to sudo system utl restart private GPT. Go ahead and do that. It'll take a second. So now we're going to go ahead and go to 2.168.1.1 on port 8001, and we come up. We're going to go ahead and go back to the chat here. Now we're going to say hi. As you can see now, it's giving a even stranger response. So pretty much what that configuration does is every time you type out a response or a question or anything, it will always have that somewhere in it where it tries to put in a bit more of a clarification. Normally it's for so it doesn't make up information, which can be very helpful. But in this case, we've just told it to lie, and it acknowledges that it's trying to lie, which, if I'm being perfectly honest, it's not very useful. But it is an option you can configure. And anyway, I'm going to leave this off here. So if you liked it, put a like on the video, and I would very much appreciate it. Bye!